make a huge change in their lifestyle that they can't really sustain. So it's really important to be kind to yourself and to be loving and gentle. And to honor who you are, sort of.
Yeah. You've mentioned something that I want to kind of segue back into because it's one of the topics that interests me the most, and I think most of the listeners are extremely interested in. And so I'm going to ask you about this. You mentioned that that you discovered that the Earth was in the ascension process, and you discovered also that humanity had made the decision to be a part of that process. Now, one of my guests has claimed that all of humanity had somehow met on another planet or another plane and had all agreed to ascend with the planet. Other people say, have other versions of it. There's a law of one material that says that, people will choose where they want to go, and et cetera, et cetera. Would you mind sharing what your understanding is of the Earth ascension process as it relates to us as humans?
Well, I think that Earth has been a school of humanity. I think I sent you a little thing I did about living in the world of infinite potentiality. I believe this planet was created as a school for unconditional love, for humanity to learn how to love themselves, others, and spirit unconditionally. Mm-hmm. And I think the planet is moving into that stance where it's time for the planet to evolve. Everything has consciousness in this universe. And the planet's decided to evolve into the higher dimensions or whatever. But for humanity, we each make decisions each day, and what I like about A Course in Miracles is, it says that, there are basically two emotions, love and fear. And each moment we choose between love and fear. And ascension to me is choosing love rather than reacting from fear.
Okay. Does the 2012 timeline have anything to do with the ascension process, or is that something entirely subjective, and are people making too much of a date by claiming that the Mayan calendar is...
My take on this, and my work doesn't directly involve 2012, so I don't view myself as a, quote, expert, unquote, and whatever I say, I ask each person to go within their heart and to resonate whether it's true or not. I mean, it doesn't really matter what I say, it's what you feel that really matters. But about 2012, I think there's no doubt in my mind that that's going to be a significant shift date for the planet. But I think there's a lot of fear around 2012, and I think in a lot of ways 2012 has become a shell game in the New Age world. And by that I mean it sort of distracts people focus on a point in the future, whereas regardless of what happens on 2012, we build it moment by moment in the now. Our power lies in the now. It doesn't lie in 2012. It lies right now in this moment.
Right.
And so I think it's more important for people to focus on love and choosing love in the now moment than to worry about 2012 or to obsess about what's going on with 2012. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, totally.
I get sort of tired about 2012, and I've looked at the movies, and I go to the movies a lot. I like going to movies. They give me a read on popular culture.
Yeah,
and there are a lot of very negative movies about 2012 that are going to be released this year. And to me, I think that that's part of the mind control, manipulation, interference that goes on all the time on this very dysfunctional world we live in. But I really think that people would be better off to just focus on the now moment, because our souls are very, very gifted. I don't have to go outside my door to attract spiritual lessons to me. Spirit sends me an abundance of lessons, and that's exactly what I need to know at that given moment. It's the things that happen to me in the now. So.
Yes, absolutely. In other words, the moment is your teacher. It is your guru, if you're being present to it.
Your guru is yourself. You are the source of your abundance. You are the source of your wisdom. You are an aspect of God. You are a child of God.
Okay.
That is your source. I don't like the guru teacher-student type of dynamic on the planet either. That's very dysfunctional for where we live now.
Well, yeah, I guess that just kind of, I would agree with that too, but that kind of slipped out. Feel free to correct me whenever
Well, you just say these words that have very charged meaning to me because I've seen how
so does God.
use those words. So
I mean, the word God, you mentioned that, and some people just bristle, or the word prayer.
Yeah, when I say God, I'm talking about the energy, a creator, a source, whatever you choose to call that being.
Okay.
Yeah, so I understand what you're saying. Yeah, people do get very charged by that word. That's true.
Yeah. So anyway, then you developed the process. When did you begin doing your artwork, and how did you combine how do you combine the spiritual energy or the healing energies into your artwork? How does that work?
Okay. Well, let's go back to the art. I was working I work on a lot of different levels with a lot of different types of energy. Basically, my spiritual gift is like my downloader. Pretty much anything I want to bring in, I can bring in. So I was working on a series of very serious enlightenment activations about awakening the creator God, goddess within yourself. And then about 2 weeks after I did this was like in 2006, 2007, something like that, like about 3 years ago. 2 weeks after I did that, I got, you have to go to Michael's Art Supply today and buy art. You're going to begin painting. And, I always meditate. I begin each day by meditating and asking, what are the 3 or 4 most important things I need to do in the day? Most people fill their lives with activity that don't really matter. I try to focus on, I always sort of ask, what are the most important things I need to do in the day? And then I try to get rid of them early on so that I can enjoy the rest of my day.
Oh.
And they popped up, you need to go to the art supply store. And I hate Michael's. I'm not a real crafty type of person. I'm sort of an anti-crafty type of person. So, I said, Michael's, no. I don't want to go to Michael's. It has all that weird craft stuff and all this stuff about crafts. And,
colored cardboard.
So I said, do I really have to? And he said, yes. So I went to, Michael's and, I got this. I was just stunned by all the different paints and stuff. I got really very overwhelmed by it, and so I loaded up my shopping cart, filled it to the brim with all these beautiful acrylics and about 10 different types of paper. And then I was on my way out, and I saw that they had the finger paints, the tempera paints on sale for $1. So I abandoned my cart and got another cart and filled it to the brim with temperas. And for the first 2 or 3 months, I just played with played with acrylics and temperas and all sorts of things, and I had no idea what it was about. I thought it was like some new marvelous obsession that entered my life, and I did think horrible thoughts about my creator God goddess sequences, the creator mastery sequences, or the void mastery sequences. I have very bad feelings, oh my God, I do all this stuff and then I get stuck at doing these obsessive things. But anyway, and then I realized, after a couple of months of playing with them, I think I actually was studying the colors and the different types of paint and different types of paper and how I could use that to encode things. It became another form of download. I was meditating one day and then I realized, this art thing, it's really just a form of sessions. I'm used to downloading sessions and teachings and all that stuff. I do that all the time. That's what my gift is. I download stuff. At first I thought the painting was just this weird obsession thing, and I didn't understand what role it had in the work I did. And then I looked at it one day and I said, this is just another form of downloads. This isn't a picture. It's really a healing session that's disguised to look like a picture so people will accept it. And one of my favorite things is I hate explaining what I do, so I love the art because I don't have to explain it. I create, each image I create, I write a statement of intent on the back, and I give it a title, and I write intent, and then I get into sort of the clear, prayerful, meditative type of space. And then I'm sort of in a trance-like state, I would say, and I have hundreds and hundreds of bottles of paint, and then I just grab the paint and create. And I love that moment of creating, and then once it's done, I want to move on to the next one because it's old history at that point. But does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. It makes sense that words. A lot of people work with light and color and sound, and it makes sense that words are symbols for things, and they're not the thing themselves. So,
well,
yes,
colors are very healing. There's a lot of different types of healing that comes through in them. One is the statement of the tint, and then the colors themselves have certain healing properties. And the guides, like councils I work with, have sort of imbued the paints I work with multidimensional, higher dimensional healing energies. You know, all the paint I get, like every time I create a new line of pictures or something, I end up going to the paint store. And as I look at the different paints, I can almost see, like, you know, the guys and councils I'm working with, or look at the energies I'm bringing forth and then trying to match them with the energies of the paint. And then the paper I use, it took me a while to find the exact right paper, and, you know, so that's one level of healing. And then as people look at the images, a lot of the images people really like, they're already strong in energetically, or the ones they're really drawn to are ones that they're working on those areas. The ones that people don't like usually means that they are in opposition. Their consciousness is in opposition to the images. So when they look at the images, it brings up stuff to be healed, cleared, and released in themselves. So there's a lot of different ways that healing is done in images, and as you know, I'm beginning to create a whole series of books around the images, because it feels to me like that's one of the easiest ways to shift people. You don't really have to do anything. I really think the future of healing on this planet is coming in through things like art, things like music, and like I went to like our art exhibit in St. Pete like a couple months ago, and there's so many beautiful glass artists. And almost all of them I look at are like heart healers, what I call heart paradigm healers. They're people who are helping people connect with their heart, with the love in their heart through the art and through glass. There's some really beautiful healing work being done through glass, and a lot of them are totally oblivious to, you know, that healing nature of the work that they're doing. Very interesting.
Wow. Now, you mentioned higher dimensions and so on. Can you help us to grasp a little bit more clearly your own understanding of what higher dimensions are and who is actually talking or communicating through those dimensions to us?
Well, I guess that's a very individual question. It really depends on who you're talking to or not talking to. I guess the way I view it is we are aspects of source creation, and I guess how I view it is I view my journey really as a journey of alignment with what I call the highest level aspect of my monad, which is the soul, what I call the soul of my soul. And I think that that aspect of ourselves exists in very, very, very high dimensions. And then, like, we try to bring in that energy or align our energies with that energy to the extent we can in a physical body on a 3D type of world like Gaia is. Does that help?
Yes, it does. That makes sense. And of course, if the Earth is shifting in dimension, then that would indicate that these are times when there's going to be some disturbance in the force as we experience that shift with her, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, absolutely. As the planet evolves and moves into more love, everything that is against love pops up to the surface to be healed, cleared, released. That's what's going on a lot in the world right now, the financial chaos. Like, I really do the stock markets and the gold, silver, commodities sort of markets as indexes of planetary fear at this point. You know, and, you know, someone who teaches about abundance and works with abundance, I do find that it's so interesting that 40% of the world's wealth vanished in, you know, 6 months. And what does that tell us about how we really value wealth? Or anyway, but that's a side note. But I'm just using that as an example. Is a lot of the world's financial institutions and money and jobs and businesses are not coming from the heart. I think we're moving into an era where businesses will come from the heart. Heart-oriented businesses, heart-related businesses will begin to be the ones that grow. And most of the planet, we all get what I call wake-up calls. Like when I was going through law school, I had a lot of wake-up calls that I really should get out of law school and do something different with my life. Did I heed them when they were small and like inconsequential? No, of course not. I blew them off, and then I got insomnia, and then I got unemployed, and then I got work, and then I got back problems. But I ignored or blew off a lot of wake-up calls. And I think humanity